It's all gone a bit wrong in recent years for Schalke. Despite being the second largest club in Germany by membership and spending 30 straight years in the Bundesliga from 1991 to 2021, they've recently fallen on hard times. From a high point as Champions League semi-finalists 12 years ago, they've been in a downward spiral since finishing second in the Bundesliga back in 2018. A series of bad decisions, including 4 managers in one season, were made worse by financial problems caused by the pandemic and the ending of their sponsorship with Russian state-owned energy company Gazprom. After a couple of mid-table seasons, they were relegated for the first time in 30 years in 2021, and despite bouncing straight back as champions the following season, were relegated again last year, with a quick return looking far less likely this time around, with them sitting just outside the relegation zone of the second tier at the time of recording, with nearly half the season gone. Things are so bad, this isn't even the first time I've tried to save Schalke. I got sacked after just 8 episodes with them on FM22's Non-League to Legend, despite buying all of the merch in the world, including this sexy gilet, which honestly is the main reason I'm giving it another go. The club are massively in debt, but have a great stadium, loads of fans and excellent youth and training facilities. So theoretically, all they need is the right man in charge, and lucky for them, here he is. I've given myself 5 seasons to get Schalke back in the Champions League. Easy, right? And here we are in situ as manager. We've actually started very close to the start of the season. 17th of July start date. Our first match is in just 11 days' time against arguably our biggest rivals for promotion, HSV away from home. So that's going to be an interesting one. Not ideal. And if you wondered whether or not we were really in as much debt as I made out, we're in quite a lot of debt. £100 million overdrawn. There's also a bank loan of £56 million as well. Budgets, we're actually not too bad on. We've got a little bit of spensy, a little bit of opportunity to add some players to the squad, but I actually don't know that we necessarily need to. If we have a look at our squad planner, we seem to have pretty decent strength in depth throughout the squad. There's not any really obvious areas where we need to improve significantly. We have lost a key player in Leo Grimmel, who is out with cruciate ligaments for the entire season. And we are pinning a lot of hope on 35-year-old striker Simon Terode, who did get 30 goals in 30 appearances last time we were down at this level, and also used to play for the team we're facing first up. He can clearly score goals at this level, but he's a 35-year-old lump of a target man at 6'4" with no mobility. I was going to say pace, no mobility, but I mean, if we can just get the ball to his head and maximise set pieces, I think we've got a pretty good chance. The board themselves are looking for us to break even in the transfer market. I don't know that I've ever had that instruction before. So I guess we have to break even in the transfer market whilst working within our budgets. So if we do sign anybody, we're going to have to sell first. And they're also looking for me to sign German players based in Germany and develop players using the club's youth system. I think youth system is probably the way to go. There is a lot of good talent down in the development centre, but with a 26-man first team squad, we don't necessarily need to move any of these guys up into the first team yet. I think it's going to be more a case of using these first few matches to decide who we want to get rid of, to then fund some incoming transfers, because despite having this little bit of money here, it's obviously not a huge amount, and we probably are going to need to sell in order to bring somebody in. The average salary for a decent player, £10,000 to £15,000 a week at this level, so we could maybe bring one guy in on a free transfer if we decided we needed one guy. Looking at that, I don't know that we do. I think we're probably set. I think we might be fine. We're obviously going to start scouting and see what happens, but I suggest we probably won't get too much in before that first match. Well, it looks like it is the start of a new era here at Schalke, because the board have restructured the debt before I've been able to do anything. So they've taken out an £80 million loan and an £8 million loan, which means our bank balance is now only negative £6 million. They could have cleared it all if they'd have tried, but we now have 3 loans instead of the 1 loan, and our monthly payments are now just over £500,000 a month. All 3 of the loans end in 26 25 years. 25 years. So we've basically taken out some mortgages, 25-year loans. So obviously we're not going to get these loans cleared as part of the save. What we'd quite like to do is make sure that that is a positive, though, at the end of it. This long-term stuff, we can handle that long-term. We need to make sure we've not got this as a problem. And it looks like, theoretically, it sorts itself out. We'll see. I mean, yeah, we'll very much take that with a pinch of salt. We're bringing in a player as well. We needed a centre-back. So Yanis Hua is going to come in as a centre-back for cover for the guy that we identified before who's done his cruciate ligaments. He can also play right back, and I think that's probably going to be the only signing we make initially, because that does spend all of our money and actually does take us over the wage budget as well. So let's shift some of that over here, make sure we stay within the wage budget. And we've also sent a couple of guys out on loan, so there's going to be a couple of loans, which I'm not sure if the board consider that balancing the being break even in the transfer market. I mean, there was already a massive net transfer profit based on what was done before I arrived. I'd like to think they're judging me on all of this, because obviously all I'm really doing with that signing is spending some of the profits from earlier in the summer. Can we sell any of these clauses? We can't. Ah, there you go. See, we're gonna be fine. This breaks us even. Let's just get those done. And yeah, that breaks us even comfortably. So transfer window is now closed. We ended up bringing 3 players in. You already know about Hua, the centre-back. We also brought in this guy, Umut Tahomku, on loan from Hoffenheim for the season, who can play as a DM or a centre mid. And he's, I mean, he played, okay, that was for the Hoffenheim youth team, B team. I may have thought he played more games for Hoffenheim. He played 8 games for them last year. Either way, he fits into the system we want to play as a deep line playmaker. And then we've brought in another centre-back on loan, this time from Freiburg, who had been playing for Dynamo Dresden in the lower leagues. He's in on loan as well. We've also cashed in a couple of release clauses and sold this guy, Soshiro Kazuki, because he came to me very upset that the club was in financial trouble and led a little bit of a mini mutiny. We had on this unhappy about club finances thing. There was about 6 people who agreed with him, so he sold him, and that fixed that. But now we've got this guy, Tobias Moore, who's unhappy about the club finances. But luckily, no one seems to acknowledge he exists, which is a big thumbs up. We've started the season well, managed to get ourselves knocked out of the cup, but the board are happy with that because apparently we were competitive. And we've won 3 of our 4 opening games, drew away to HSV on the first day. So we're unbeaten in second place. We just need to get promoted. We don't even have to win the league. We just have to get promoted, and we are on the right track. I'll check in with you again in January. Well, we are halfway through the season and things aren't exactly going to plan. As you can see, we're down in 7th place, 9 points outside of the playoffs, 10 points outside of automatic promotion. The board aren't over the moon about it, but I've actually been a good boy and I've been focused on trying to fix the financial problems that are going on. How many players have left? 6 players have gone. So this guy was one of the ringleaders of the grumpiness. He's gone for £750,000. None of these are big fees. He's gone for 1.4 million. This guy has gone out on loan. Actually, I think the others are, in fact, most of the others are loans. This guy, we've sold for £130,000. So we are continuing to be operating at a huge transfer profit. It doesn't seem to be making any difference at all to the overall balance. We are within all of our other budgets. We've sold all those players, but with 10% retained transfer revenue, we are not in a position to bring anyone else in. The projection still indicates there's going to be a whole load of money coming in from somewhere. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know if this is on the assumption that we get promoted or if there's just a big pile of prize money for the second tier in Germany. That doesn't seem right. Hold on. Let's go and try and find that out. Is there prize money? Okay, there is some prize money, but not £100 million worth. Do we have a load of sponsors? I don't really understand where the money's coming from. Hopefully they've got a plan. Form-wise, it's not been great, as you can see. In fact, we've only won 2 of our last 10 or so games in the league. Form not looking good. So we've decided to switch things up. We were using a 4-3-3. We're now going to switch things up to a 4-2-3-1. And we've pulled this guy out of the youth team who looks like he's done a bit of a Mick Powell. Only 17 years old, £20 million of a value. We're either going to play him and he's going to be great or sell him and we're going to be fine. But with 3 stars of current ability and 5-star potential, it's time for him to get involved in the first team. So he's been pulled up into the first team. We've adjusted the tactic to suit him as the attacking midfielder, and fingers crossed we can start picking up some wins again. I don't expect there to be much in the way of January transfer business. We're already 20 days in. All we've done is sell. We're just going to keep trying to make do with what we're doing and hoping I don't get sacked. Well, it's not been the best of Januaries. We are unbeaten against Hamburg, who are top of the league. So we're half decent on our day. We lost to Kaiserslautern, though, and this is where the league looks current. We're 9th. We're mid-table. I think I'm probably going to get fired. But that's not going to stop me flailing around in the transfer market trying to save my skin. So we've sold a few more players. Thomas Callas has gone for £105,000. Remember that striker who got 30 goals last time we were at this level? He hasn't done it this time, so we've sold him to Toulouse, £325,000. His understudy, Sebastian Polter, has gone to 20 for £1.1 million. And then we've brought in a couple of old man strikers and some other squad players to try and fix the problem. So Sven Michael has come in to play centre forward for us. He comes in from Augsburg, and he does have previous scoring goals at this level, but we've got rid of 2 old men and replaced him with 2 others. Stanislav Ilyuchenko comes in from Seoul in South Korea, having not played in Germany for 5 years or so. We've also brought in a left back, Eric Wekesa, comes in from Nuremberg, and Roberto Massimo, who can play anywhere up that right hand side, comes in from Stuttgart. So much changes, but it's probably going to be too little too late. I might be having to get fired and regenerate myself and replace myself later down the line. We'll see if I can save my job. Even if I can't, we're going to do the job. I'm confident my 5-year plan will work. I just need the board to have some patience with me. And ultimately, 9th is a lot better than the 16th place they're in real life. So, I am doing better than they've really done. It's all thanks to the Gilet. Let's see how many more games I've got until I get fired. Well, it turns out if there's one thing I can do, it is a panicked transfer window, because we almost immediately went on a winning run where we won almost every game for the rest of the season. We did lose 1 game after the window closed and drew 1 there, but other than that, it was wins all the way. And we snuck into the 2nd automatic promotion spot. There you go. The board are pleased, as they should be. We finished 2nd behind HSV. We are back in the Bundesliga, right on schedule. And now we're going to get our budgets to find out what we can do for this rebuild, which is very much needed, by the way, because they were very much short-term solutions that we brought in back in January. The strikers that we brought in, as you can see, didn't really score much in the way of goals. The age of this squad in general is full of old men, but we do have some great talented youngsters coming through, and we very much need to bin off the rest of the old men and build a squad that can stay up, because there's no use just bouncing back and forth between the 2 divisions. So fingers crossed, this is a pile of cash. But of course, there is the financial issues that mean it might not be a pile of cash. Our budgets for next season are really small. Really small. Oh, no. That is... we've got a little bit more wage budget. No transfer budget at all. Obviously, we are continuing to hemorrhage money. I don't know where this money's supposedly coming from. I guess we just have to hold fire and wait and see. But we are back in the Bundesliga. We just have no money to spend to try and stay there. This is going to be an interesting summer. Right, okay, there's some of the money. £14 million for finishing in 2nd place. The board have got the cheek to be disappointed that we only won promotion. Can I just point out, board, The goal was gain automatic promotion to the Bundesliga. That's exactly what we've done. And the board are somehow disappointed about that. But with that extra £14 million in, I mean, we're still horrifically in debt. I don't understand. Season ticket sales, maybe? We have a massive stadium. We'll see. One summer of hardcore wheeler dealing later, and we've let a lot of our fringe players leave, a lot of older expiring contracts. Some of the players who didn't want to be here, for example, Baumgartel has gone for £1.5 million. We've let a few of the grumpy boys out on loan. We've got rid of some of the old guys that we brought in when we were panicking last year. And these are our signings. Christian Gross. Yeah, they're all old men. We have no money. Yeah, we don't have much choice. Christian Gross, 35 years old. Timothy Fosu-Mensah, not an old man. That was my one signing that I'm pretty happy with. Scratch that. We have two. Tim Stark, I'm also pretty happy with, who was here on loan last time we were in the Bundesliga and is now back permanently. Anthony Young he's another old man. This is a youngster on loan as a backup. Another old man who then immediately broke his foot. And then we've got this guy, Robin Hack, who is on loan to play on our other wing. All of that means our first 11, if we just go pick best 11, now looks like this. It's not terrible, but as you can see, our centre backs are both injured, and it's not terrible, but it's also not great. However, we've started the season fine, a win, a loss and a draw, which leaves us in 11th place. 11th place would be absolutely fine. We just need to avoid relegation this year. The media think we should just be able to, and the money did magically turn up through season tickets, through sponsorships, and through the prize money from last season, and apparently continues to increase as time goes on. So if money slowly but surely increases and we continue this great run of youngsters coming through the youth team, which we've brought a few more into the first team squad this summer. So we've got that guy I think you've already met, who we brought through previously. This guy was in our B team last year, a 6'4", 5-star potential striker. There's players who we're either going to be using or selling for big money, and if the rest of the money recovers as well, we should be in a generally positive trajectory. We just need to make sure we don't get relegated this year, because if we get relegated, I get fired. We're back where we were to begin with. So we just have to stay up one way or another, and gradually we will start to improve. I am certain of it, and I really hope that's the last window where I have to sign a bunch of people nearly as old as I am. Well, we've made it through to the almost the halfway point of the season, and we are just outside of the relegation zone, 14th place. Can't emphasize enough, that would be absolutely fine. The money is disappearing again, though. I don't really understand how the money works, because apparently we're still going to be fine, but less fine than we were going to be before. We do have a bunch of unhappy players, though, which I'm going to have to deal with this January, and somehow try and find a way to conjure some more transfers out of nowhere over the course of this month so that we can survive. It'll be fine. We're on the Christmas break at the moment. Everyone's feeling merry and happy and lovely. Well, another transfer window, another fire sale. We've sent a load of fringe players out on loan, including Timothy Fosu-Mensah, who was grumpy that he wasn't getting enough game time because, despite being our best signing of the summer, we already had several very good right-backs who were keeping him out of the team. We've also sold a few more of our fringe players. This guy we didn't really want to sell, but Borussia Mönchengladbach came in and paid his release clause. But these guys have all moved on. So we've sorted the dynamics out. Club atmosphere is very good. We also picked up a win against Bayer Leverkusen, which is a huge result, especially after that run of games where things weren't going very well. As you can see, we changed the system. And the Bundesliga is now looking like this. 19 games played, 19 points on the board. We're meeting the Kev ratio. We just need to stay out of those bottom three places, and we should be fine. I still don't want to talk about the money. But it turns out that we're very good at the second half of the season. After that win against Bayer Leverkusen in January, we didn't lose again until we faced Leipzig in March. And after that, just the two more defeats against Cologne and Mainz, including we beat Bayern Munich 1-0 in our penultimate game of the season, all of which has led us back to Europe. I mean, it's only the Conference League, but it's a huge step forward. Brian Lasme is the top scorer in the Bundesliga with 17 goals from 34 appearances. Not bad for a guy who only scored 5 goals for us last year, and I wasn't really using. I signed old men to play ahead of him, but he has certainly enjoyed life as the focal point of our attack in the second half of this season. And we are back in Europe, which should in turn sort us out with some money, because goodness me, do we need some money if we're going to push on and get Schalke back into the Champions League, which of course is the plan here. The season is over, but we haven't yet had our budgets for next season. So I'm going to hit continue a couple of times and fingers crossed. Here we go. It's budget o'clock. Can I have some money to spend, please? Okay. Schalke are back, everybody. Our debts are falling. We've got a bank balance. We're back in Europe. Everything's looking good. And we've got some money to spend. Oh, I'm going to get a new gilet. This is the summer coming up now. Well, we've actually spent some money. Nowhere near as much as I would like, because we still can't really offer much in the way of salaries, but we have been able to pay a few transfer fees. So Robin Hack joined us permanently. He was with us last summer. We've also signed Torben Rhein on a free transfer from Bayern Munich, who is pretty useful looking. Very happy with that one. Dejan Ljubicic is a free transfer Austrian international signing from Cologne, who actually played 22 games for them last season. We've got Maxwell Gyamfi, who's joined us on a free transfer from Osnabrück, who was playing down in the league below last year. Delano Bergzog is a winger and a striker who's got plenty of experience at various clubs, including Huddersfield in the Championship, which is probably not quite the level we're looking for, but he's a decent, cheap squad player. Maximilian Vitek is another example of the only players we can get in that will come in for tiny salaries are old people. So he's come in to be our new left back from Bochum, having played a full season for them last year. Patrick Bauer is another example of that same thing, a 32-year-old centre-back who joins us from Preston. Again, maybe not quite the level we were hoping to get this summer, but he's a decent squad option, decent fourth-choice centre-back for us. Dennis Husenbasic, I'm probably saying that wrong, joins us on loan from Cologne for the season as some cover in midfield. And we've just brought in on deadline day Luca Pfeiffer, who is another striker option for us. He was at Heidenheim previously and has been playing in this league for the last couple of years, including starting this season in this division. To balance that out, Christian Gross has gone. Ibrahim Cisse, who'd been grumpy for a little while now, was out on loan at Groningen last year. He's gone out permanently as well. We've also got rid of Kanan Karaman. As old men arrive, some other old men have to leave, and Marcin Kaminski has left the club as well as a few players leaving on free transfers. Those ones left on free transfers. So the squad is now looking like this, quite bloated, but decent depth throughout. We have, of course, got European football to play this season as well, so it's quite handy to have some decent depth. We've got 3 decent strikers, obviously Pfeiffer, who's just come in, Top, who came through the youth system and hasn't really had much of an opportunity yet, and last season's Bundesliga top scorer Lasme, who started the season the way he ended last one with 3 goals from 3. Decent depth throughout. We could do with a slightly better goalkeeper. There's obviously still some money to spend as well, so we didn't spend anywhere near £16 million. So fingers crossed we can spend some of that in January, because our bank balance is forever on the increase. Our net debt is closing in on being less than £100 million, which will be lovely. And the projection is still a long-term positive. And to top it all off, we've started the season pretty well as well, winning every game other than the away game against Bayern Munich, which we narrowly lost by 1 goal. So we're 3rd in the Bundesliga after 3 games. We're into the Conference League group stages, where we've got a very good chance of going on and doing pretty well in that competition, I would suggest. Fingers crossed that we can continue our good start to the season and not run out of players. I don't think we're going to run out of players. We do only have 1 fit goalkeeper currently. Well, I think we are very much victims of small squad size, even though we've got a big squad, but a lot of them aren't very good. Too many games and just not being able to win matches we should be able to win. We've been doing very well in the Conference League, as you would expect. We've qualified in the top 8, so we are through to the last 16, I think is how that works. But domestically, not so great. We are very much in a relegation battle that we need to get ourselves out of. And not only that, we have got a whole bunch of grumpy boys that we need to deal with. So we've still plenty of money to spend and lots of money still in the bank. I think my plan for January is going to be get rid of everybody who's grumpy. Again, that seems to be the plan for every January. But this time, actually try and spend some of this money that we've got. The scouts have been doing their thing. Let's hope we've got some qualifying for Europe quality players. I don't think we're getting back into Europe again this year. Unless, of course, we win the Conference League. And wouldn't that be a thing? Well, it's been another major January clear out. Fosu Mensah's gone out on loan. Well, it's been another major January clear out. Fosu Mensah's gone out on loan again. As much as I was excited about signing him, he's not really worked out, has he? We've also sold Patrick Bauer, who only came in the summer. We never used him. That one might have been a mistake. Maximilian Vitek, again, one we brought in for the summer. In the summer, at least we sold him on at a profit, but he didn't want to be here either. Leo Gremel has now gone back out on loan back to Austria again. Another one that we need to get rid of long term. Another one of the summer signings has gone out on loan to FC 20. Anthony Young, who we brought in a couple of years ago now, but hasn't played at all for us this year. He's gone out on loan also, and KK Top, the young striker, has gone out to get some games and hopefully score some goals in the division below. Clearing those gaps out of the squad, we have then brought in some new players. Tom Bischoff has come in on loan from Hoffenheim for the rest of the season. We've also signed El Chadale We've signed this guy from Leipzig on loan, one of several defenders who's come in as we try and fix the leaky defence that we've got. Philip Max makes his return to Schalke, having played for us about 10 years ago now. £3 million is a lot of money for a 32-year-old. Yes, I'm repeating the same mistakes, but we really are struggling to find a long-term left-back. We've also signed Philip Zeris, who is a 32-year-old defender. Yeah, I know, I get it. They're old men. This one's not, though. 21-year-old centre-back this time. 3 stars of current ability, 4.5-star potential. He comes in from St. Pauli. And Marcel Hofmeier is the final defender to be added onto the list. He joins from Heidenheim, having played for them in Bundesliga for the last 3 years. Joins us permanently in the summer. He's initially in on loan. All of which means our best 11 now looks a lot like that. Although Top obviously is not here, he's out on loan, so doesn't take that into account. But we've got Lasmi, who is still one of the best strikers in the league, although he's only got the 6 goals so far this season. But we have changed our system back again. If you remember last January, we changed from the 4-2-3-1 to the 4-3-3 and it turned the season around. Well, this year we've gone back the other way, and we followed it up with 4 games undefeated. Once again, beating Bayern Munich. We're good at beating Bayern Munich. We did then lose against Eintracht Frankfurt and Borussia Mönchengladbach. But this is what the league table is looking like. 13th place, game in hand, and 9 points clear of the relegation playoff means that the board are pretty happy with everything we've got going on. We're still in both cups, the German Cup and the Conference League. And fingers crossed, should have enough about us to stay in the league and then rebuild again in the summer with the money that we're going to have, because money continues to go up, especially if we can get ourselves back into Europe again through the league, which would be a long shot. But winning the Conference League, maybe not that unrealistic, looking at the teams that are in it. Obviously, we'd have to get past Tottenham or Lazio. They're probably the 2 teams most likely to cause us problems, but it might be doable. We're not going to beat Tottenham or Lazio, are we? Let's see how we get on. Well, I have to learn to be less pessimistic. We nearly made it past Tottenham. I also correctly identified a Tottenham-Lazio final. So Kev clearly knows his Europa Conference League, but we did narrowly lose against Spurs in the semi-final. But that wasn't the only cup we had shenanigans in, and we have qualified for Europe again for next season by winning the DFB Pokal. aka the German Cup, 2-0 in the final over Mainz, which is just as well because we only finished 11th in the league and wouldn't have been in Europe otherwise. We did actually recover our form somewhat in the second half of the season. The whole season was really let down by this form in September, October, and we didn't ever really recover back up the league from there. And then, of course, playing as many matches as we did, getting deep runs in both of the cups, really did start to stretch our squad quite thin towards the end there. But an 11th place finish in the league, I can live with that. And most importantly, we get into the Europa League, not the Conference League. We are in the Europa League next season because we qualified for the via winning the German Cup. Money-wise, it is starting to accumulate, as you can see, and we haven't yet had our budgets. So fingers crossed, if we hit continue a couple of times, we should see our budgets for next season. Are they on here? There you go. There's the budget. So our budget for this summer is... We're getting back in the Champions League this year, boys and girls. £34 million of transfer budget. They've increased the wage budget again. It's time to go shopping. And when it comes to what we need to go shopping for, there are a lot of gaps in this squad. The youngster, Quadrado, has continued to get better and better. He is going to be worth a lot of money if we ever sell him, or instead we'll continue to build the team around him. But the midfield in general is pretty strong. We don't really have a striker, though. We've obviously still got Brian Lasme, but he wasn't quite the same output this season just gone as he was the one before. And I think we need a proper Europa League quality striker. And then ideally we upgrade the goalkeeper, maybe get a couple of fullbacks, an extra centre-back. We want European quality players now. We need an upgrade. We need to sign some players I've heard of. That's the plan for this summer. Sign somebody I've heard of. Oh, and not only are they giving me money to spend, but we're also clearing some of our debts as well. After our good financial performance in recent times, we're clearing some of the outstanding debts. So still with £76 million in the bank, we've paid off one of these loans in full. So the net debt of the club is now down to £61 million. We actually might get this club out of debt as well as getting us back into the Champions League. Wouldn't that be a thing? And it really does help the amount of money that flows in from stuff like membership income. We've got new sponsorships coming in. We're heading back to the big times, boys and girls. Money is flowing at Schalke again. Oh, we have had a big summer. £59 million spent, £10 million in. Biggest signing of the summer, Cameron Archer. We finally have a grown-up striker. Signs for £23 million from Sheffield United off the back of 30 goals in the Championship last year. Did get 10 in the Premier League the year before, though. He is the headline signing, but we have done some serious business. Marcel Hofmeier has come in as a new cover player at centre-back for us. James McAtee joining us on a free transfer, having played 5 times for Manchester City last year. So he's got some decent pedigree. Mohamed Baloumi is a new starting winger on the right-hand side. He's in on a free transfer from Firenze in Portugal. Stefan Tigges is our new backup striker. You'll see why we needed a new backup striker when you see who's gone. £975,000 to bring him in. We've got Nicolas Oliveira, who's a new starting right back for us, a £3.1 million signing from Hamburg, played the full season for them last year. Rogerio is going to be our new starting left back. He joins from Wolfsburg, having been on loan at Torino last year, another one with plenty of pedigree, playing at this level. I've just seen I've given him the number 1 shirt. That probably invalidates the entire save, doesn't it? Kasper Tobias is our new starting goalkeeper. 23-year-old Polish under-21 international signs from Legia for £3.2 million. You already know about Cameron Archer. Vicente Pizarro is a new defensive midfielder for us, a £9.75 million signing from Colo Colo. Edward Lowen is another defensive midfielder. He's come in from St. Louis City in the MLS. And lastly, Fabio Carvalho joins on loan for the season from Liverpool to offer us some extra cover in those attacking midfield areas. In order to fund all of that, we've got rid of a lot of the fringe players. The main ones who've been used previously, Cedric Brunner, who'd been our starting right back for years. He's gone to VTSC. Who on earth are VTSC? They're in Portugal, apparently. Lasme, top scorer in the Bundesliga just 2 years ago, has gone out on loan to Utrecht in the Netherlands, where to be fair, he's scoring goals again. Clearly got a little bit of goal scoring about him. Luca Pfeiffer, who we brought in to be a rotation striker for us last year, has gone to Hamburg, who did get relegated last year, so that's a drop down the leagues for him. Lino Tempelman has gone to Toulouse. Torben Rhein has gone to Toulouse as well. So those two, in fact, those three, because Gamfi went to Toulouse as well. Toulouse just signing all our dregs that we didn't want. They're the new Saudi Arabia, apparently. And Fosu Mensah, after being a headline signing a couple of years ago, never really made the breakthrough with us. And after multiple loans out to the Netherlands, has now gone to Spain. He's doing a lovely old European tour as part of this career. All of this means that our best starting 11, if we just go and have a look at our best starting 11, is now this. It is an enormous upgrade on where we were previously. New goalkeeper, Gekta, and I mean Matriciani has been here all the way through, so he has done a great job to maintain as part of our defence. But Gekta, who came in last season, will start alongside him. Rogerio and Oliveira as our fullbacks. Weigl and then Schallenberg, who again has been here for a little while since the beginning, and then Huadrad, Carvalho, Balumi as a new three there. Obviously, he's one of our young players, and then Archer up front with a much stronger bench than we've had before. The likes of Lubicic and McAtee, Pizarro, the fact that these players are on our bench now shows just how far we've come, and we're showing it in the league as well, because 3 games into the season, we are top of the Bundesliga. The board are looking for us to finish mid-table, and we've already met our goal in the Europa League because we're already into the league stage. Obviously, we've got grander plans than that. The media think we're looking good for a 9th place finish. I think this is the year we get back in the Champions League. I gave myself 5 years at the start. If we can finish top 4 this year, we get back in the Champions League inside 4 years. And I think it is doable. And the money is still looking great as well, with the projection that money continues to increase. It is all looking good. Let's not balls it up. Let's see how we're getting on at Christmas. Oh, it's happening, boys and girls. We've made it to the 1st of January. We are 3rd in Bundesliga, just 1 point off the top of the league. The most striking thing is Bayern Munich down in 9th place. I don't even know how that has happened, but we are in not just with a chance of a return to the Champions League, but there's an unexpected title race going on in the Bundesliga, and we are one of like 6 or 7 teams who are very much a part of it as we head into the second half of the season. There's no money to spend, so don't expect there to be much going on in January. There are a few problems that need fixing regarding people who want new contracts or to leave because they're not getting game time, but the important thing is things are going well, and I think we need to give this guy a new deal pronto because he is a superstar. Let's just make sure we can give him a new contract, because money, of course, is a little bit tight, but he is one of our own. We've built the team around him for the last couple of years. He can have whatever he wants. £87 million release clause to a Champions League team. I don't mind that because we should be one before too long. In fact, talking of Europe, there's still 2 games to go in the group stage in the Europa League, but we are looking good for a top 8 finish for the 2nd year in a row. Of course, last year was Conference League, this year Europa League. Oh, we're turning this team around. It's lovely old stuff. Little bit more transfer shenanigans then to try and establish ourselves in this top 4. We've brought in Liam Delap. Liam Delap in on loan, and he's come in and done 4 goals from 4 games. Liam Delap is always a cheat code. We've also got João Rego on loan from Benfica with a view to a permanent move, and Victor Guzman has joined permanently for £7.25 million to be a new starting centre-back for us to fund those transfers. I mean, to be fair, most of them were loans, but we have got rid of a lot of the guys who didn't want to be here, the fringe boys who'd come in over the last few years. So Robin Hack has moved on after his couple of years helping turn us around. No loyalty here, we're moving on. Mehmet Aydin, who came through our youth team and never really established himself, he's moved on as well. We've also loaned out Hua who came in a year or two back. Hoffmeyer's gone out on loan, and the big sale was Ron Schallenberg, who is another one who'd been here since the start, but we just got a big offer from Saudi Arabia and he wanted to go, so he's gone. How much is he actually earning? Yeah, quite a lot of money, £94,000 a week. And then Tim Stark has been sold off for very little, £42,000, but he did his couple of years. He did his business, and Stefan Tigges, who came in the summer, has been loaned out as well. The best team now looks like, if we can get back to it, our best 11 now looks like that, which is completely different to where it was even a year ago. I think everybody, apart from Huadrago, the other 10 players in that best 11 weren't here 13 months ago. So it has been a very quick revolution once it's got started. And it is a revolution that at the moment sees us top of Bundesliga with 14 games to go and qualified into the top 8 of the Europa League as well. Now we just need to make sure we don't run out of steam before the season is over, because we have got a real chance to put Schalke back where we belong. And by the skin of our teeth, we have held on. Look at that for a run in. We've finished Bundesliga champions on 60 points. Stuttgart down in 6th, finished on 58. Bayern Munich finishing 8th. I mean, presumably there's going to be a sacking going on at Bayern Munich, but we've only gone and won the Bundesliga. It's taken us 4 years, and we have taken Schalke to champions. When I mean, first title since 1958. I mean, that'll do, won't it? That really will do. They've set me some frankly enormous budgets as well. Of course, we've qualified for the Champions League. It's our best ever Bundesliga finish, apparently. And it's mad, isn't it? Absolutely mad. Europa League wise, we made it to the quarterfinal, got knocked out by Brentford. A narrow knocking out Spurs, lurking again like they were in the Conference League last year. But we don't need to worry about Conference League or Europa League, because next year we're in the Champions League. There's an entire bunch of money to spend, and the debt is a third of it, the level it was when I arrived, and is continuing to be projected to go in the right direction. So I think at this point, I know I gave us 5 years originally, but I think that's Schalke rebuilt 4 years in, Bundesliga title. The key players, I mean, Liam Delap coming in on loan, obviously, ideally, you'd want to bring him in permanently because he's just come in and scored the goals that have led us to the Bundesliga. He's also made his England debut off the back of it as well. And obviously, we do have the money now to go and sign somebody like Delap permanently. Ouedraogo has continued to be an absolute superstar. Having him develop was ideal. But Bellumi, who came in last summer, has been brilliant. 21 goal contributions from him. James McAtee, who came in last summer, has been fantastic. He's now being chased by Al Ali, but that as a front four has very much fired us to the title. We've also got Cameron Archer, who hasn't quite scored the goals I expected him to score after a £23 million move, but he's a very decent backup option to those four. And then, I mean, you just go throughout the squad. It's a very, very strong first 11. We've already made a start on what's going to be happening for next year. Patrick Berg, where is he? Patrick Berg is going to be joining us on a free transfer from Bayern Munich to add a little bit of extra oomph to the defensive midfield. But that was when I thought I was going to have to do a 5th season. And it's pretty clear at this point, we don't have to do a 5th season. Schalke rebuilt. We won the Bundesliga. I didn't think we were going to win the Bundesliga in 4 years. Transfers, eh? Goodness me. If you enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. Let me know down in the comments who you'd like to see me rebuild next. Also, interested in your feedback on this as a way of doing the rebuilds compared to the shorter, more scripted ones. Feedback always welcome. And thank you very much for watching.